Onstage, onstage with Jim and Tom. 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 Tom and Jim.
Tonight we welcome a band called Damper to the stage of the Phoenix Theater. A damper is defined as a person or thing that has a depressing, subduing, or inhibiting effect. And tonight we are very excited to channel that sort of energy into this episode. Please welcome to the program our first guest of 2019, Tom, Liam, Waverly, and Bella, the band known as Damper.
Welcome.
Thank you.
It's really good to be here.
In August of 2018, this band released a self-titled EP, and you've described these songs as being intensely personal. Would you say it's intensely personal for all of you, or just the primary lyric writer?
I was mostly just trying to speak. It's hard to speak first person without getting to like this is it. This is like my project or anything like that. So I'm trying to. I struggle with that in the writing, so sometimes that comes across, how to represent us, as a project, a collective.
Do you know what? As a writing style, you take these small moments and turn them into songs, and fascinating. I was looking at how you crafted each one of these today, and absolutely fascinating. The ride in the car.
Before we get to that,
Okay.
I totally agree. He called me earlier, and he said, there's a very Seinfeld feel to these songs. Have you all seen the show Seinfeld?
Yeah.
A television show from the 90s. Well, Jerry and George, they go to pitch their show in the show, to the NBC executives. And they're like, well, the show is just about like our lives, it's just about our lives. It's like little moments. And then the NBC executives are like, well, that's not a show. And they're like, no, it is a show. That's the show. So this album, and I assume like the music that you write generally, like the stories you tell, are just these like wonderful little human moments. And I found in like learning about them and listening to the music and reading the lyrics, and you did too, that I could really identify with like the emotions you were feeling in those moments. So Panic is the second song on this album. It's a short song. It's 8 lines. And it documents, in my opinion, one of those like very human moments where we experience like the slow motion dread of like something that's to come, like almost like you're certain it's a doom, I guess.
Yeah.
And Tom Gaffey, you have a question about this song. My God.
Well, there's some great lines in it. It feels like a date gone bad or a relationship gone bad. It can't wait till morning.
First line, you said it cannot wait until morning.
You can't wait. Oh, that in some relationships, that is really, okay, should I just start packing now or,
But also, like maybe
Maybe
now
not.
hold on, before you tell us, it's like maybe somebody got a diagnosis.
Yep.
Maybe somebody
That's
got a diagnosis. They're not going to live that much longer.
Yeah.
And so, you wondered what that could possibly mean.
Yeah.
And of course, this is not the first time we've been here.
But here lies the question. When someone writes a song and throws some lines in like that, is it ours to ask what the heck was happening there, or is it, or would the author rather not? Would he like to leave that moment open and let you decide?
I think that's one that I feel that way about. Yeah, I'd rather.
So mad at you for putting that on the table.
I know that, but that was part of the question that I wanted to ask. Is this you start right out with this bold statement, boom. Then actually from there you follow it in the car ride, which is taking a lifetime.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's just not going to end well.
Yeah.
But again, this is just a moment. Boom, this is all we get. And I find that fascinating.
Can I tell y'all something?
Yeah.
Yes.
He was going to put more lyrics in the song, and we didn't let him.
Yeah.
He was going to put more lyrics at the end that like explained it a little bit more.
That
And
actually happens from
like in
time
the
to time.
studio, and then we were like, no.
Keep
Like,
it keep it
to be
unresolved.
ambiguous.
Yeah, keep it ambiguous.
Because he had everything written up to that point, and he was just like, I need a couple more lines. At the end, like, no, you don't. This is fine, unresolved, because everything that you're saying about this situation well and good describes that situation, but as a listener, the words belong to the listener now and describing like their own moments of panic or whatever in their life, anxiety.
Yeah.
And when you put
universal.
too much stuff in there too, that's when I think stuff starts to feel self-indulgent. You know what I mean? It's like you give them just the right amount of pain. Don't put proper nouns in. Don't be too specific. Let the audience kind of wonder. Except for me, you should tell me. Right.
I think that's one thing. That's one thing I feel like I learned a lot. I've learned a lot just from listening to Tom's songwriting. Is like his use of ambiguity. I think is really interesting. I think that when you leave details open, the audience inserts themselves in a way that's really deeply like personal and universal. And you don't get that with some other songwriters. There's some songwriters who are like incredibly didactic, and whatever they said in the song is what happens, and that's great. I love that stuff too. But
the message is like the point.
Right, but
That's exactly what it's about.
But there's
no
less of a
mistake,
less of a connection because there's not a space for you to insert yourself. Whereas like in some of Tom's songwriting, it's like even though the situations might be like specifically super personal to you, there's a universal element. I think that comes out at least partially in the ambiguity of like this could be happening to me. Like the details specifically might be some things might be changed, some of the locations might be changed, but like I can relate to this because I can see myself there.
Yeah, no, this could be something as mundane as a junior high kid in trouble with his mom being brought home.
Right.
You could relate to the tune on so many different levels, and so many different people can own this tune as well.
Yeah, I thought pretty hard about this one because a lot of the times when I come up with a song, it's usually like the lyrics and the guitar riff kind of happen at the same time. But in this case, like we just were messing around on this for a long time.
I point. I was like, I was writing a lot in 5/8.
Yeah,
which has become my favorite time signature to write in.
But like the thing about 5/8 is it has this
Skittish
urgency.
feel. Yeah.
It has like this intensity.
It tumbles over
about it.
itself.
Yeah. That I thought like
Can you
it
do
kind
it
of
with
reminded me.
can you do it with your
of,
mouth?
of anxiety?
Like what? Make the sound for the people.
What?
The urgency. I think the new 2019 rule is
little
if
manic.
people reference time signatures, it's like, okay, tell us that.
Yes.
Make
Yeah.
the noise, please.
Yes.
Thank you. That is urgent. How long was the car ride?
It's probably 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was it as bad
From
as you
leaving
thought it
my
was going to
house.
be?
No. I mean, it definitely wasn't dire,
Yeah.
but
Felt like it was, though.
But boy, does it seem dire.
Exactly. No, I mean, honest to God, the point that you made,
How to
Bella,
describe it.
about how you just ascribe your own experience to it. I mean, I thought about the Santa Rosa fires we just had, the phone calls I got for
Oh,
that.
wow.
I thought about, like, when I've been called about someone dying. I've thought about, like, breakup type stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it just took me to, like,
A lot of different
6
directions.
different, like,
Yeah.
bad phone. Well, I shouldn't even say bad. It's not good to look at things as good and bad. 6 different phone calls, which were stressful, shall we say.
Urgent.
Exactly. Well,
Dire.
Yeah, exactly.
Dire.
Like,
It's
I can't.
okay to think bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
For this context, this band has it's okay. We kind of play off the whole, the downsides of things.
Damper.
Yeah.
It's
Right, we welcome it.
Yeah.
6 phone
explore
calls that were really putting a damper on my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We make that pun way too much. We shouldn't do
What's
that
the
anymore.
best? What's the best pun that you've made?
Oh.
With that?
I
we
shouldn't
talk about
say
being
it.
sweaty.
Oh, come on. What?
No.
Second best.
It's things like, this next thing we're putting out for you guys, I really hope it makes you damp.
Oh, it's so good. It's a sex thing. I love
it's
it.
horrible, but
no,
yes.
no, it's so good.
It's good.
No, it really could be damper. Okay, that's
Yeah.
it. That's
Mm-hmm.
the last one.
Okay.
Ever.
So you're making a song, and you're like, I think it's good, and then somebody else says, I really think it could be damper, but in a good way. Is that what
That's
you're
a new
saying?
one.
Oh, that's a new one. Yeah. Well,
Indeed,
it's
thank you.
It's a fun.
Yeah.
Sometimes
fun
the song,
sex thing.
sometimes the song needs to be drier though.
That's true.
like,
Sometimes it's a little
That's
too
true.
moist down there.
sometimes you get too moist.
People hate that word, but I
Yeah.
like it.
We also, from time to time, get tagged in certain cooking things on Facebook that are completely
Oh,
unrelated
yes.
to us.
That's right.
Like cooking a damper is some kind of
It's
like
so funny.
breaded, like fluffy thing
about
that you can participate in, and we've been tagged in it before, and we're just like, we don't have anything to do with this.
Make
Yeah.
that sometime.
Free promotion with the pastry loving
Yeah.
Free
crowd.
promotion,
Embrace it.
indeed. Yeah.
Embrace it. We just gotta embrace
You just
it.
got to lean into it.
Yeah, lean into it.
Have you ever been, practicing amongst yourselves, having a good time at the studio space? Somebody does a tasty lick, and then you're like, "Fuck, that was the dampest." Does that ever happen?
I feel like it might
now
have.
I will.
One of us will now.
It's quite good. Anyway, song 3, Procession.
All right.
You had okay. When I was on the phone with him earlier and we were talking about this band, he was he zeroed in on this like one line in this song, and he was very curious about it.
He's obsessed.
This man was obsessed.
I was obsessed. No,
Let's have it.
So you go to a funeral, and how cool it is that all you need to say is "I love you," because it feels like sometimes, especially the more I go to, and I'm going to more and more nowadays as my friends and I get older, and
Dark. Put a real damper on this.
It'd be
There
such
it
a
is.
comfortable thing if you could just leave it with those words, "I love you." You opened your mouth and you couldn't get it out. I'm wondering, who was this? Or can you say?
Now, before you do, the line in the song that he zeroed in on
Tempted.
is,
Roses?
"I love you" would have been enough for him,
Yeah.
I think, but when I opened up my mouth, no words came out.
No words came out.
The song is, I don't know, like maybe 10 times as long as that bit, but Tom Gaffey felt like that was the crux. He felt,
Well,
the climax.
there was
he
also
felt-
the part where they
climax.
held off on one of the roses, but that's okay. I
he
think
felt
a rose for the car is probably nice.
This man to my right felt that the entire song was written around that moment.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's a fair
I think
assessment.
that's
Yeah, it
really
definitely
fair
was.
too. Yeah,
Yeah. All right. So
that's the only song that I.
That's where I wanted to end up, but I didn't know the exact words for it. I just know that like I wanted to say something about the fact that I went to, I'll just say, my grandpa's funeral,
Yeah.
and I couldn't really say anything. I was just shell shocked, and I was like, "What's wrong with me?" You know. I wanted to put words to that feeling. Like I just seen him in the hospital the day before. I was there when he died, you know, and then like I'd get to the funeral, you know, and I just can't come up with anything. I just like hugged my dad, you know, and that's about all I could do.
That was
So-
the same thing as saying "I love you."
Yeah, I did it to him instead, I guess.
I
It
really
worked.
love how the loudest part of the song, dynamically, is the part where you're talking about how you couldn't say anything.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
almost kind of like does what you wanted to do. And,
Yeah.
and that's my opinion, of course.
Yeah.
But I just,
It's like
I like that.
redoing it or doing it like justice
yeah.
after the fact. Yeah.
hmm
You wrote a song for your grandfather.
Yeah. I mean,
It doesn't get any deeper than that.
like an apology almost. Yeah.
I needed that with my mom.
Yeah.
That's what I tell all the kids, dude. Apologize to your mother as soon as you go home tonight, because one day you're not going to have that chance.
Yeah.
And your grandfather heard. You wrote him a song.
Yeah.
Spectacular. That's a great way to do it. And I have to ask all the way around, buried or burned?
Right to it.
Well,
It's a good question.
God, that's a
For
good-
ourselves?
God, that's maybe the best question you've ever asked.
For ourselves? Our own?
Yeah, well, it was one of the first lines in the song. And,
It does stick out. Yep.
yeah, it's a great line.
All right. I already spoken for
Yeah,
myself.
we know Tom's answer.
Wow, is that a tough question at this age?
I don't think
It
it's tough. I would
Yeah.
burn.
You're a burn. I knew
Oh,
Waverly was
oh,
a
yeah.
burn. I've only followed you on social media for a month, but I know you're a burn.
Burn me.
Yeah. Get the fuck out of here when you die. Like, leave no trace.
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's up into the sky. Yep.
Depends on the context, honestly. Like,
I love that.
because there's this whole thing called conservation burials, right? Where you,
Yes.
you don't know if anybody knows about this.
I do.
This is this thing you do where you like, people will bury your corpse on, you know, some like sacred land that's like, you know, where an indigenous tribe lives, or like a land that's slated to be developed by like, or, you know, paved over, you know, and by burying your corpse there, they can't develop it anymore. So it preserves like, you know, either like natural forests, or, you know, it preserves like, you know, kind of like sacred home grounds for different like First Nation groups. And that's probably what I would want to do. I also know somebody who wants to get cremated and then put like into cement and then made into like a scary statue and then put at the bottom and then put at the bottom of the ocean
Wow.
to like scare scuba divers. So that's pretty rad
Some
too.
whimsical shit right there.
Do you think they'll pull that off?
That's a good one.
They pull off a lot. Shouts out Bridget.
Yeah. Tell Bridget to get in touch with me when she's near death.
Wow.
I'd like to help.
She's going to need help.
I will.
Yeah.
She's going to need help.
I would like
Well,
to
I mean,
help.
when you're dead, you can't do much about it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
you
right.
tried
Thank you,
that.
Tom.
I can't really plan for it necessarily either. I guess that's part of the question too here, isn't it? I think if I had a good place, maybe I would feel differently like that. Yeah, that's something I never thought about. That's definitely given me something to think about.
So if we haven't heard the song, though, what is your bury or burn?
Well, initially I said burn, and now I don't know after hearing that. And it's like, that's really pretty I don't know. That changes my idea of the whole situation.
The whole calculus just got changed.
I like that.
Come on.
No, I thought everybody knew. I want to be burned.
These people don't know you.
I want to be taken up on the roof on a windy day and spread all over downtown Petaluma.
Team Burn.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Team Burn. I think that would be.
Team Burn.
Am I the only one on Team Barry?
Well,
You are.
I haven't answered the question yet.
Oh,
But before I answer, how many on Team Burn or Team Barry are like, I don't know what's going to happen when I die, and my calculus is influenced by like I don't want to be like stuck in a box underneath the ground.
I've thought about that, especially like
Yeah.
the zombie apocalypse comes.
Yeah.
Like, I can't claw my way out to join
You
the
ever
party.
think about that? You ever think about that?
well, one of the options
that's a
was
good
not
point.
being frozen right before you die. That's my number one.
Yeah.
Right behind that is
It's
burned.
expensive.
Like if
Yeah.
I
Well,
accidentally die.
Get in touch
Team
before you die.
Cryogenics in a
See if we
surprise
can,
upset.
Team Carbonite.
Like Han Solo.
You know,
Team Han Solo.
There you go.
I think I might be on Team Barry. I think I might be on Team Barry. You know, call me. You know,
Traditional.
call me what you'll call me.
A
but
good Catholic boy.
I just like the idea of like a big mausoleum. You know, I like the idea of.
It's very gothic. I mean, you can't beat that.
There's Jim's house up on the hill. You know,
Hit me up. Hit me up. We'll like stop them from clear cutting some forest.
Cool. Yeah. Okay.
That was really interesting. The conservation burial,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
using your
That
last
was a
death
nugget
as a
right there.
weapon. I love
Right.
that.
Yeah.
That's so
It's super
good.
rad.
As a statement, yes.
I've thought about this for Tom Gaffey. Those of you who don't know Tom, he's run the Phoenix for 35 years almost.
Yeah.
And I've thought about how much fun it would be when you die to put your body in this,
Can we just stop
in this
right
very
there?
building.
Sorry. Go ahead.
and so you put you in here, and then like in the Vikings, okay? I go across the
Viking
street
burial.
on the roof, and
Yes.
I shoot a flaming arrow at the Phoenix, and then I burn it down.
Oh, that
Wouldn't
would
that
be
be
epic.
something? Yeah.
That would be so fucking epic.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, somehow I'm not thinking that's exactly what I had in mind.
That's the unfortunate
That
thing
would-
about dying is
See, but
you,
then-
you lose control of that.
Don't worry. It'll be tasteful. It'll be tasteful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other death thoughts? Any other death thoughts? I mean, we really hit gold with death here.
Fresh out.
I know. I feel like I have thoughts that are just like really. I'm really blank right now on the subject.
You brought up a good prompt, Waverly. You feel like you're going to outlive everybody, kind of.
I think I will.
Yeah. What about everybody else? Are we going to outlive everybody, or is everyone going to outlive you?
Definitely not. 50's a dream.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for you. Get in, get out.
Basically, yeah.
Nobody wants to live to be 115.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much with that too. Especially like, I feel like there's gonna be some weird sci-fi shit going down. Like near the end, people are just gonna be like,
Oh yes, globally.
you know, throwing themselves into, I don't know, cryogenic freezing, you know, or they're just gonna be like taking
People
these
already doing
treatments to
that.
like extend their lives and
Or get
turn
uploaded
into
into a
like these
computer.
hollow, like vampiric looking shells, husks of humans. I don't know. Like
you don't
I-
want to live that long.
I don't want to see that happen to people around me. I like that. I like. I don't know.
What
Maybe
about
I'm
just
going too
what
far
about
with
just the
that,
good
but
people?
The good people.
Yeah, the ones you like.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's like.
And
sticking
now,
around
now that's a
to
very
have more time.
problematic, just moral statement I just put forth. Like, who's good, who's not, who makes
Right.
that decision? So we won't go into that.
Go into that.
Let's
too
talk about the problem of evil in philosophy.
Go.
This is
Let's do it.
It's all relative.
What do you got? What is the problem with people's philosophy?
you want to do this, Liam?
Morality is a construct of the weak.
Fuck, hit me
No.
with this. I want
Get your niche
this
out of
This has
here.
been fun already.
so bad. Fuck me up with it. Go.
The problem of evil in philosophy, okay, I'm going to try to sum this up quickly, is that if God is omnipotent and can see everything and knows everything and is omnibenevolent, which means that, you know, is good beyond measure and only wants good, that God wouldn't permit evil to exist, whatever evil means, whether that means like, you know, malicious evil, like people hurting each other, or just like negligent evil, like, you know, there's a plague and God doesn't stop it. That's the problem of evil in philosophy, is it's like a, you know, a way of logically proving that God doesn't exist. And there's like plenty of arguments to the contrary, and I could state some of them, but you know, it's
Well, give
it's
us one.
complicated.
Give us one. If no one's going to argue with you, argue with yourself.
Bella
Well,
there every
okay.
morning arguing
Okay.
with herself.
So one of the counter arguments that people use to justify the existence of God is that if God needs evil to be there so that we know what good is, like that we can't, you know, that you can't have one without the other, like you
There's no
can't.
light without the darkness.
Well, right, you can't know what
Legend.
pain
Star
is
Wars?
without, you can't know what pleasure is
Legend.
without pain, right? So the idea is that, like, you know, you things are kind of crappy on Earth, and then that way you can enjoy the eternal afterlife because you'll have known, what pain is, and then you have an experience to counteract. You know what I mean? Yeah.
What I love about what we're doing tonight is these songs focus on like these small little moments in life, and yet our conversation is veering between the songs and like the biggest questions that humans can have. So
I love that. I find it super refreshing. So thank you for asking these kind of questions.
Cobwebs. Cobwebs.
What happened to the car?
My favorite one.
Song
that
4.
car is actually
Song
gone.
4. Now, just to those people just tuning in.
No, I'm wondering.
We're at the song Cobwebs.
What journey did that car go on to make it smell and look like that?
It's funny you should mention that, Tom, because there's mold growing between the seats. There's splotches on the floor, and the AC. My God, it reeks of
memories.
Thank you. Yes. So whatever you want to share about that.
Did you
Worst
really have mold in your car? Was it really mold in your old car?
Mold happens in cars.
Would you judge me if I said yes?
I'm already... no.
I think he's just actually, honestly, I think you're just curious. You're like, how does mold get in a car?
We spent a lot of time in that car.
Yeah.
Like since high school.
I mean, it's a fair question.
Water.
Yeah, well, how'd water get in,
It was a car
Basically,
that was well
that's
met.
My theory.
Yeah.
Yep.
The goodness water got in.
God, it's so good jumping from like what happens after you die to like, how did that mold get in your car?
Right?
Yeah, I really liked, I don't know, just making things a little more dramatic than they actually were from a young age. So this song was definitely one that, it sounds very dramatic, but like that specific part of it, like that stuff was true. I was just like, coming out of a pretty like whirlwind experience again. College, it's pretty intense in good ways and bad.
My God, you've been in school for like 20 years of your life.
Yeah, and
now
then you're
not.
just like, what do I do? And I came back to my hometown, and realized like all the people that made my hometown what it was were gone, basically. And just kind of confronting the fact that like I didn't really know what I was doing at all with my life. I was, interning, but not really making much and not really going anywhere with it in particular. So, things kind of fell into, I guess, sort of entropy set in the case of my car. And, things started to get a little nasty. So, I just kind of remember taking a look around at one point and I was like, wow, this is
I gotta wash my car.
Well, it's just sort of like this reflects my mental state. I'm just kind of like stagnating here, and things are, getting kind of sad looking. I need to do something.
So your car kind of like represented the depreciation period of like, what am I doing after school? Cool.
Yeah, I thought much later on that I'd actually make a song out of it, but I just remember writing randomly when I was supposed to be taking notes, I think. Because it just came into my mind. That's how it goes.
So
sometimes.
the deeper question here is then, did you truly shed the car?
Much later.
He has a new car now.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the car. I'm talking about the car, but I'm not talking about the car.
Ooh.
I think, I did, but I don't know how long it lasted. I feel like I kind of went through a series of those kind of depressive phases, and that thankfully didn't last that long that time. But
That car took you on a lot of adventures. The stuff that brought that mold into that car. God, almost every drop of water that must have been spilled in there and that was flooded in there and represents some kind of an adventure, good or bad, for what it was.
Right.
And I think there's always going to be a little mold in the corners somewhere.
Yeah. Can't avoid that. But I think especially that feeling again of someone take my car that is just supposed to be like kind of like this feeling defeat, feeling like I can't like clean up this situation at this point. It's almost like relinquishing your own life to someone else, and that's where I'd gotten I don't know what else to say about that, but I think most people feel that way after a big transition. So
Well, that song resonates with me and
Yeah.
dozens, if not hundreds, of people that I've known. Especially people in their 20s, even early 30s. I mean, even beyond. But those
60s?
like big transition
Yeah.
points. Well, I mean, I think, honest to God,
Are you kidding?
honest to God, I think if the Phoenix closed down tomorrow, I think that you would be in that sort of a position.
yeah.
You know, whenever we have
absolutely.
something that's like so central to our lives, whether it's a person or a way of life or school or family, and there's a
Yeah.
sudden change, you're just like, God, I don't even know what to do. And you're ready to throw in the towel,
yeah,
you know?
I think most people pick up and leave, and that's why I thought it would be important to put down, like, I'm just going to stay in one place and like just try and figure it out, because I felt like it would be the wrong thing to do to just continue to move until it felt right, you know, that like I could make it work. I just had to get through that mental block that I had, because I've witnessed that in other people's lives where they're just like constantly unhinged, and I've always felt that I benefit the most, or I grow the most, when I'm able to like plant my feet and get comfortable, and make a life for myself that's worth living somewhere. So I thought, you know, it's a familiar situation, but I wanted to take it in a different direction that felt right for my personality. So it was kind of like that reason for the resolve at the end of the song.
Last song on the album is Cervantes.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we call the song Cervantes?
We were at a Mexican restaurant right around the corner from where we were practicing very, very early in the...
I didn't know
that's
this.
a different story.
No, that's a different story.
That's
Is it
about
not?
Our, that's about our name.
That's about the name.
Oh,
That
Oh.
taqueria is called Taqueria El Super Burrito, I think, or something like that.
El
Yeah.
Super Burrito? That's very
it's
creative.
on Polk.
Okay.
No, that's the name of the band.
Okay.
This is the,
Because they get the damn burrito.
No,
Yeah,
it was
we did decide our
No,
band
it's
name
wet.
over
It's a wet
burritos.
burrito.
But Cervantes is
actually.
just a name itself, right?
It's the name
just
of a
It's the name of a park.
of a park.
in Sacramento.
Well,
I
someone
figured it
else
was a
should-
Soul Calibur reference.
So you were in a park.
Yeah, and it was again just another conversation in a park. So I thought it would be effective to have the album bookended by a conversation that was really positive and a conversation that was maybe not so positive, but like just sort of at different phases of life. You know, some very naive thinking here, and some very like intensely adult decision making at the other end. Because this song is about basically just deciding it's not a good idea or like a good time to be with someone. Sometimes you have to be honest with yourself about what you can actually take on in terms of commitment, and what you're actually capable of giving to that person. Like if you're not in a position to give everything that you have, if you're still hurting or recovering from something, then like you shouldn't just jump headfirst into something. It's a disservice to that person, and that's where I was feeling at the time, sort of coming to grips with the fact that even though I had strong feelings, it was a bad move to keep pursuing it. So that's basically what it's about. Just a really hard conversation with somebody about a relationship that wouldn't be a good idea.
Wise.
Yeah.
It's such a good album in terms of the themes. It's just like 5 very different types of themes on these songs. I love it. You know, some people come on the show and like the songs
Thanks, man.
don't have any meaning, or they say they don't have any meaning. I kind of disagree with that. I think every song has some meaning.
It's coming from something.
Exactly.
Somewhere
But-
deep in that they don't understand maybe, but
Yeah, but
something.
something. But I think all art comes from something inside of us. But I just love that you've like picked these. Just like, I don't know, you like looked at the canvas of your life over the last 10 years, and you're like, you know what? Let's just go this. Let's go this.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I feel about it too. It represents kind of the scope of human experience to me. Even if people haven't experienced these exact things, I think they touch on things that people have, and in some way it'll at least resonate. And I think what's most interesting to me in a song is usually some kind of conflict. And with Cervantes, I feel like in particular, that's what what drove me to write it was like it was a moment that stuck out in my life as like one of like those pivotal decisions that would shape the course of my life from that point on. To be with someone or not to be with someone, even though it seems small, it's actually pretty big.
It's the biggest decision you make.
Yeah.
And I think the person that you choose to have that sort of partnership with is going to be one of the most defining decisions you will make in terms of the person you will become.
Yeah. Because the idea is to grow together, right? I think that's usually what people tend to want out of a relationship is you can bring out the best, right? But if you're not capable of providing that for someone else, it's not always the best idea. But I think in this case, it made sense to me not to try and make sense of it, just to leave the problem there, like that it's not going to have a happy ending. Not every love story has a happy ending, and I think that's more real to me when I hear stories like that. So I wanted to write something that was a love song, but also a sad love song, I guess.
Yeah, ended on a damp note.
Like writing, especially about like things that are painful. I can only speak for myself, y'all, I respect what you guys do so much. And Lavender Scared, because you can speak very honestly about like the socio-political issues of the day.
Just a note, Lavender Scared it's
a glam punk band. Yeah, it's their other.
It's our
band.
punk band. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Bell and Waverly. But I just I feel less comfortable doing that because I don't have as much experience, I guess, with like marginalized communities. I've touched the surface, working for school districts and like doing this and that, but like as far as writing about it, it's a huge commitment, and you really have to like own it if you're going to talk about that stuff. So I try and focus on what I know, and maybe that's a lame reason to do that instead, but it makes more sense for me to be authentic with what I experience.
Disagree deeply. I don't think it's lame.
Yeah, same.
It's very important.
No, yeah.
On the contrary.
Whereas like all the lyrics might be like personal to your own experiences, I think that like writing these songs with you and helping, arrange them and build them up, we've all poured our own like similar griefs and anxieties and traumas into writing them.
Yeah.
So it's representative of all of our moods over the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The zeitgeist of our past.
Shouldn't say lame. It's not lame, but I guess in terms of like the level of like suffering that I am writing about here is nothing compared to what a lot of people
I know what
experience.
you're.
That's where
I think I know what
it.
you're saying, which is that there's an importance to calling out and discussing the sociopolitical things that happen in our world. There's that is very important work, and it can feel less important to do what you're doing because you're just observing a day you had in the park.
Yeah. Exactly.
But on the other hand, there is room for both, and I think both are necessary. They're doing two different things. It can't all be sociopolitical, but also it can't all be I went to a park. I mean, they both serve a purpose, and I think they help the world in different ways, honestly.
Yeah, I think Van Gogh would agree with that. A moment in the park, a moment looking at a flower, a moment looking at an individual. Boom, it's right there on picture. Doesn't really speak politically. There are a lot of artists that do, but many of the greats absolutely are taking these moments and freezing them.
Yeah.
And they're quite beautiful. And boy, and
Just
what
to make you stop and look at something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People really do that.
So there's a lot we can do with music, with our music, and we can get political. Because I've been in a bunch of bands, and one band in particular was pretty much mostly about that. It felt like every tune had to have a good purpose to it. But when I'm writing for myself, it's little character studies and stuff like that. And I think there's room for all of that in this art and in this world.
Well, all I can say is thank you all for joining us
Yeah.
tonight.
Thank
No?
you so much for
Absolutely.
having us.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for having
this was
us.
really, really
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, I
Be
said this
here.
to you before we recorded, but we have had, I think, 5 or 6 people come up to us and say, you need to get Damper on. You need to get Damper on. So to those people, I say, we did it.
What a
we
great
all
way to start
together
the year.
did it.
Yeah.
A dream became a reality.
Yes, and thanks to those people too. Thank you for
We've never done
thinking of us.
But it was great. You know, I really appreciate you being willing to go into the lyrics, even though it seems like you have some hesitation sometimes and you feel like, is this important? Is it not important? And all that. It is. And tonight I think we kind of shone the spotlight on why what you do is good and why it's worthwhile. So, I mean, just thank you for coming on and being willing to do it.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah. And
Seriously.
up next,
It's great.
we have a performance from the collective known as Damper. Thanks again for joining us, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jim and Tom.
There are cobwebs beneath the passenger seat, mold growing wildly in between, splotches on the floor. I'll have a dusky sheen. The AC rings of last year's memory.
your heart say from